our weekly interview, and today we have Dimas. So, Dimas, can you introduce a bit about yourself if our friends never met you before?
Yeah, hi. I'm Dimas. I'm from Indonesia. Starting last year, 2016, coming from Indonesia to Bangor University to study for consumer psychology. And I'm relatively old, 30 years old.
And yeah. Thank you for telling your age. You are the first only one in our interview, actually, like
really?
kind of like in the interview.
Yeah, and then I'm a marketing researcher. So basically, I do consumer research or marketing research related with a company that wants to develop product or wants to develop service, develop a new launch product, or maybe just want to understand the current markets. And they usually come to me, and then come to me or to the company where I work, and we we set up the project, or we set up the research accordingly in regards to their objective of the project, something like that. So yeah, I think that's it.
Oh yeah, that's quite long anyway. Just kidding. So what did make you study that area?
Yeah, because my previous subject is in psychology for my undergraduate, and for the last 5 until 6 years, I've worked with a company which really concerned and really wants to understand how consumers, how people's behave in a market situation. So that's why I've learned psychology in a general area, and for the next step I want to learn psychology from the consumer perspectives. That's the one thing that I thought in the first when I choose this kind of subject. The second thing is because consumer psychology is relatively new in developing countries, specifically Indonesia. So I really want to look for some references here in the UK, in the developed country, and bring something back to Indonesia and try to develop it. And yeah.
Okay, interesting. Like so you mentioned that you study it in undergraduate. So why did you choose it when you study
in my undergraduate?
Yeah.
Because the thing is because consumers. I've never known consumer psychology really exist when I was in my undergraduate period, because this kind of subject is not too familiar in my country, and psychology in Indonesia is mostly around kind of if you're aware of a term like developmental psychology, or maybe clinical psychology, or maybe educational psychology. So a psychology that more applied to a human as a subject. So the consumer itself is the consumer terms based point of view. So how would I say it?
Yeah. So you didn't see it before, and then you knew about that, and you found interested in it.
Yeah. And when I came to work back then in 5 or 6 years ago, I've learned that this kind of topic is interesting, and which I didn't find it in my university when I where I studied. And when I look at when I try to browse the subject in the Google, it turns out that I'm quite excited, because this type of study, this type of subject is something that I really worked at that time, but I haven't touched it during my undergrad period. So I really want to learn it more. This might be beneficial for my working expertise later, and also because I also want to pursue my PhD to become an academician in this subject. So it can be beneficial for both, basically. Yeah.
So interesting. You mentioned that you wanted to study it in the developed countries to see what difference and then bring it back. So can you share the things that you actually found interesting that only you knew when you came to the UK and studied the subject?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, so related with this topic of consumer psychology here in the UK, I found. So maybe I'll explain first in back in Indonesia. So in marketing context, in job market context, so this type of subject is a form of the name of the work is marketing research or consumer research, right? So there are a lot of company that work in regards to research the consumer, in research the market, and there are lots of company working on that type of work. It can be from multinational company, or it can be from local company, which the ones that previously worked in a multinational company resigned from that company and tried to build their own boutique, or try to build their own company, which is the local company came from. But here in the UK, I found it interesting because the big company, some big company or multinational company, which also exists in Indonesia, is not too familiar. It's not too well known in the consumers or in the company's point of view. But there's a lot of small medium enterprise which work in this type of project, and they basically come from the academician, which previously have expertise in related areas. For example, like consumer psychology. Before they establish their own company, they have become professor, or they have become academician in consumer psychology, and they know a lot about the theories or the methods or the research related around that area. So when they step into the company, step into the market, step into the business, they really apply what they learned in the university context. They apply from the journal, what states in the journal, what states from the previous research, and they put it in the business context, which is really great for me. And try not repeating what other companies do. It's like in Indonesia, because smaller company basically tends just to copy paste what they do in the bigger company, and they try to make it more locally in a small company. But in the UK now, they try to specialize, they try to make it more unique, and they try to apply the approach that might work with great evidence from the previous research or from the academic literature, something like that. Sorry if I am talking too much.
No, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so it's interesting that you can see the difference, and maybe you bring back that advantage, and I think that is important to see that, and then benefit for your country. So,
yeah, exactly.
Can you share your motivation to apply for Chevening and
Wow. Okay. My motivation to apply Chevening. It's already blurred because, but I've tried to make it concise. So my motivation is basically comes from my undergraduate dreams. So even if when I did my undergraduate studies, I already kind of dreaming about studying overseas, and especially in the developed countries. And I keep keep storing that kind of dreams even when I already working as a practitioner, as an employee. But the thing is, during the because I've graduated from my undergraduate degree in 2009, and it has been already 6 years, I think. No, 7 years after I received my Chevening scholarship, and it's hard to maintain that kind of motivation, because during the 7 years you've explored with all of the opportunities, you've explored with the working experience, and maybe a better future or better options for your future, instead of back to the university and studying more and more, which is quite boring for lots of people, but since I decided this a long time ago when I did my undergrad study, it keeps me fired up, and keeping motivated me to sometimes I need to go abroad. Sometimes I need to study more about the things that I do at that time. So that's what motivating me at the time.
Oh, interesting. So how did you convince people in Chevening to choose you? What do you think?
Okay, yeah, basically the things that I've said to you earlier, like this type of subject is relatively new in Indonesia. In terms of the subject itself, when it comes to the academic environment, it's really, really well, and it's very potential for me if I do this in other countries which have a good reference, which could have good reference of it, and then coming back to Indonesia and try to develop the subject and make my country become more familiar, especially those students, those college students who wants to tap into the job market. They should know. It's really, really beneficial for them to know about this kind of subject and the opportunity of that in the job market, something like that. So, yeah, that's that's one thing that I sell to Chevening at the time. So it can be mutually, it can be both beneficial for the academic context, and also it can be benefit also in terms of the business context. So in a sense that try to increase or leverage the domain between the two,
Yeah, so as you sharing that is so crucial that you highlight the benefits that you actually can bring to society, particularly like that particular target audiences, and Chevening gonna support that process to make it happen. Yeah. Okay, so interesting. So how did you share with them about your leadership? Because a lot of friends asking about that, because normally some people ask like after 2 years I study, I work, I don't really have like leadership position, and they wonder about how could they express that. So can you share me advice on it?
Hello Jen, I think your sound quite blurred at the time.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh. Now? Better?
Yeah, a bit distant.
Okay. Oh, sorry, my laptop is like, the sound system of my laptop is a bit old.
Oh, okay. No problem. So laptop is still laptop.
So maybe I also get like my sound I get lower. So I was asking like can you share your thoughts on how could you convince or share people about your leadership experience or
Okay.
ability? Because a lot of friends asking like, they don't have a leadership position. So what is your thought on that? Yeah.
Okay, I think this is the crucial thing because this is the one that Chevening looking for towards the candidates, to find a good person with a potential impact towards their own environment. So that's why Chevening look for candidate which have certain type of leadership or certain level of leadership, but not necessarily in terms of the working position, but also but rather than not necessarily leadership in terms of the working position, but more to the attitude, or more towards the activities they do in their environment or in their social context, or maybe even in their social circle, maybe, or their inner circle, something like that. So my advice is, if we really want to get exposed to get a leadership exposure, I think working position is one thing that you can achieve subsequently when you work in that company or in that position, and throughout the year you will get a higher position, and that's where you will learn leadership automatically. But when it comes to the your own environment and your own circle, I think my advice is just to look for just try to engage in an activity which beneficial for your social, beneficial for your personal life skill, for the society, for the environment, and that's where you will learn about the people, you will learn about the environment, learn about the issue, learn about the concern that your society faced with, and that's where you also can learn about this leadership from other figures. You can meet lots of people, you can meet important people, you can meet impactful person or something like that. So I think that's the thing that Chevening also looking for when they want to choose people. They want to choose the people with a good leadership in the social context, with good impact, potential impact towards the environment. Yeah, something like that, I think.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because it's interesting the way you put, like, it's not about the formal leadership position in organization that you had before.
Exactly.
It's more like what actually, that's why they call potential, actually, like what you have done with society, or what have you impacted on society, or any kind of social context that you mentioned, and what do you plan to do about that? Yeah, so
my plan about that.
No, I just summarized.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. What is your plan about that? Can you share? Yeah.
Well, I'm not really have a ready plan about that, but at the moment I have certain social circle where I engage with. I was before throughout my year, my working period, from the year where I graduate from my undergraduate until I depart for the Chevening as a Chevening scholars. I spent 1 year as a teacher in a remote area of Indonesia, where I learned in that context about the society, the issue, I also learned about the leadership in a real context, and also I learned about, and I managed to have a good family, literally family, because during that year I lived in a stranger family, but I managed to live there and make my own family in that village. I'm sorry, excuse me. And my plan is it's not to It's not an well planned plan, but maybe for some times, maybe I will back to that area, to that location, to where I spent my 1 year as a teacher, and contribute something. I don't know, maybe staying there. I don't know. Well, it depends on my family and my current family, but maybe or just make a kind of foundation which works for developing that kind of particular area where I spend, or can do something.
Yeah, so what would be your first step to make it happen?
I think the first that I've already talked with with my friends, which is already, because 1 year, during that 1 year period, I'm not working alone. I'm working with a set of people, which is currently become my social circle, right? And we've talked about, like, kind of providing, making a scholarship towards the kids, towards the children in the elementary area, and try to motivate them to look for, or to aim high for the education experience, not just aim to finish the education just until the high school period, but aim high until the universities study, higher study in the university or in the college, something like that. So we've talked about the providing scholarship, or we've talked about the sponsorship for them who have a good achievement, and make it happen.
Lovely. So you mentioned that during that 1 year you have built your social circle for your future plan. So that's interesting, because that's one of the things that our friends can learn by make the best use of that 1 year. So did you plan it before, or you just naturally realized of doing it, or you look back and you saw that you did that, or you did plan that before?
That particular 1 year experience.
And then what you want to build your social circle? You plan it?
No, it just came to my spontaneously, and I just, I'm going to do it, because the thing is, though I'm a marketing researcher, though I'm a employee of a company, I really like and I passion in education. I like teaching. Really like teaching, because that's what I did when I was in my undergraduate study, and I don't want to stop that kind of activities. That's why when the vacancy of becoming a 1 year teacher in a remote area, I just spontaneously, I'm going to do it, because I want to shape further my teaching skill, and not necessarily teaching not necessarily become a teacher of a certain in an elementary school, no, but in terms of developing yourself as a teacher. It's more crucial, it's more beneficial for me, rather than the teaching itself. That's why I decided to become a teacher at the time. And the thing is, it's not mandatory becoming a full-time teacher after you finish your 1 year teacher. Still you can go back to your ordinary, you can go back to your previous activities after you finish that 1 year experience. So that's why that come for me, just I'm gonna do it.
So can you share about what are the main things that you learned from 1 year in Chevening support for your plan?
Sorry, come again? I'm not
what
really clear about it.
What are the main things during the Chevening journey support for your plan?
You mean the support system during my Chevening journey?
During the Chevening journey, what did you really learn and support for your future plan?
Love.
Yeah.
What kind of the my Chevening journey skill, or my Chevening journey experience that might be beneficial for my future life? Is that what you're asking for? Oh, okay. Uh, well, during my Chevening journey, I have a good friends, really really great friends, which is Cheveners from around the world. In Bangor itself, I managed to make a friends with 10 Cheveners, which exactly came from the west side of the globe until the east side of the globe. You know, I have a great friends from Panama, from Costa Rica, from Jamaica. And, at the same time, I have a good friends from your country, of Vietnam. I have a friends in a country which I haven't heard about it. If you ever know about Tonga, it's a small country in the Pacific Ocean, and also have a friends from the Middle East, from Egypt. I have friends from all over the world, and I think this kind of networking is really really great, especially for my future. In terms of who knows, I can maybe the fate or the the destiny will come across, and then can meet all of us again, and then maybe we can share thoughts, or maybe we can share jobs, share works, share activities to do for the better future or for the better society, I guess. Right. And also the other thing is, as becoming a Chevener in my country is quite what I could say is quite beneficial, because Chevening in Indonesia is seen as a great scheme of scholarship, and those who become awardee of Chevening is really really good apprised, good accredited, and that's the other thing that I can. That's the other benefit that maybe I can get by becoming a Chevening.
Lovely. So, can you share how did you make the best out of Chevening experience? If you have like a friend who never or who are going to apply for Chevening, and now you're gonna say, okay, you're prepared to go to Chevening journey 1 year. So here, I think what you wanna think about. So, can you share about that?
Sorry, I don't really get the idea of your question.
Yeah, it's like how can a person who make the best out of Chevening experience in your opinion? Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I might advise to come for. So prepare yourself. I mean, becoming a Chevener is not necessarily you come for the certain city and apply for the uni and keep studying until you graduate and get a distinction grade. It's not necessarily like that. Becoming a Chevener is something more than that. You need to make a connection with all of the people that you met throughout the year, because you really really met the good people from all over the world. 1,000 people will come into the same place in the UK, and it's very very beneficial to get connected with them, because they are just like you. They are a potential leader in whatever domain, in whatever job that they are doing. So, and also engaging with the all activities that Chevening has, because throughout the year, I believe you already know about that, the Chevening held lots of activities, lots of engagement activities, which we can take the benefit from that. We can learn other cultures, we can know more about the people, and we can share our thoughts and make something or something like that.
Yeah. So, do you have any kind of advice for our friends who want to plan the time or plan the trip to study, and at the same time can travel and do other things? Yeah.
So not necessarily about the Chevening, but whoever wants to study in the UK. Is that what you mean?
I mean, yeah, Chevening or anyone who study in UK or any other country. How can they actually plan the time, or how can they just have that like balance, what people normally call between studying and traveling and networking. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So, uh, studying system in the UK is not too what could I say? It's yeah, it might be stressful, but you indeed will have lots of day off throughout the year.
Yeah.
Starting from the Christmas break, starting from the New Year's break, Easter break, and summer break. There's a lot of day off that we will have. So using that kind of day off efficiently and responsibly, and try to engage with your study during the term time, during where you really required to come to the class and to listen to your lectures and to work on your assignment and work on that hard during that time. But when it comes to day off, you really need to relieve your stress and try to, it's not necessarily not to travel around the UK, but just a simple thing, just come to visit your friends in other house maybe, or in a dorm, or maybe if you have money, you come to the other cities where your friends are studying, or if you have more budget, you can come to explore Europe. Lots of things that can be done, but do that properly when the day off is available. But try to not mix it together with the study. I know studying in the UK is really intense because of the 1 year period. You really need to do everything within that year. But if you don't do well when you spend your good time, when it comes when the day off comes, in the end it will make you difficult as well, because you can concentrate and you can release your stress. You can. Sometimes people need entertainment even when they are in a stress moment, right? So that's what I think.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have you had any like stressful time, and how did you deal with that?
Experience with what, sorry?
Have you had any stressful time during 1 year, and how did you deal with that? Yeah.
My stressful time is basically when it comes to exam. I had exam. Really. I had exam.
Yeah. Like nobody love exam. So assignment is okay.
I like university life. I like writing a paper.
Yes.
I don't have any issue on that. But when it comes to exam, it's really stressful, because you have to memorize all the things, all the theories, all the examples, and you need to put it together within 2 hours non-stop, and then it's really tiring for me. So that is the most stressful time when I was in the UK.
How did you deal with that?
So just like my advice previously, I really put my effort on that time when it comes to exam normally came before exam came after a long break. For example, like first semester, you will experience the Christmas break before you have the exam, or in the summer break, or in the second semester where you have the exam after you experience the Easter break. So that kind of things might be tricky, because when it comes to day off, you really want to indulge yourself, to travel, to go somewhere, try to put aside this kind of stressful studying burden. But that's not the case for me. I mean, like when it comes to Christmas break or when it comes to Easter break, I try to make my at least 2 weeks before the exam starts, to start the revising the modules, start revising the things that I've learned in the classroom, and try to read a lot of journals and the books that discussed during the lectures, and make notes, because I'm the one that can study from others' writing. I need to make my own writings. I need to make my own notes so that it's easier for me to memorize the thing. Make a bullet points and make a try to personalize your things, personalize the things that you've learned, and try to make it with your own sentences. I think that's easier for me to memorize, to revise, to do during my revision. And after that, because I like mountain climbing, so after the exam finished, I release my burden, release my stress, go to the mountain, and then take my friends, and then try to relax. After that, somehow that works for me. But other people, other friends, maybe after exam they go strictly to the Scotland, or maybe go to the France, or maybe to the Germany. We try to make release their stress. And,
that's so true. Okay, so can you share about if you now look back? Because before that, when you apply for scholarship, you need to talk about the reason you chose the UK and the reason you chose Chevening. So now if you look back, there is any other thing that you want to add in? Because after 1 year experience, you see that you didn't see it before.
I don't really know. So can you come again?
Yeah, so I mean, like, before you apply for the scholarship, you had to answer the question like, why did you choose Chevening and why did you choose the UK? So now you have 1 year, and do you want to add anything, any other reason that you didn't know before?
Okay. So why I choose Chevening?
And now different, because now after 1 year you may have some other thing, right? And now why the UK?
Yeah. So Chevening is not too familiar here in the UK, so lots of British, English, Welsh, or maybe Scottish people not knowing about that Chevening because I don't know, but Chevening is really popular basically in my especially in my country, and maybe in lots of developing countries. And during my when I depart when I leave for Chevening last year, lots of my friends saying that, oh, you're lucky, you have a Chevening, oh, you're great, oh, you're doing great, Godspeed for pursuing your study as a Chevener in the UK. I got lots of kind of motivation from that people when I leave for Chevening last year. But during my year in the UK, because when I try to explain to local people, hey, I'm here to study under the UK scholarship. Oh, it's great. What's it? Oh, Chevening. Oh, never heard about it. So it's a different response. People here compared to people in my country responded when they hear about Chevening. So coming back to your questions, I think when becoming a Chevener back then, last year when I first came here to the UK, put myself too greedy, I say that, too greedy. Oh, I'm one of because good person being selected Chevening around the world. So that puts my head something like high in that moment, in that time. But throughout the year, this 1 year has passed. That kind of feeling is I think it's really gradually lowering down, because becoming a Chevener is not that kind of good, not that kind of not that kind of good. It's not that one I want to say. But
I think what you meant, like, we need to be always humble.
That's what I mean.
That's what I mean. Because like, for example, if you are the best in your country, and then probably somebody they never actually go to internet, they don't even know, and so you meet them, you're never gonna expect them to know, and probably they have something that you can learn. So if we always humble and And like,
exactly.
okay, I'm a student in life again every day, and we don't feel that kind of disappointment, and we can learn the best. I think, yeah, that's what you're
Exactly.
trying to say. Oh, that's wonderful, because I believe
Yeah.
that that probably something that, like, from this country to another country never be the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
beautiful.
the
That's good sharing, yeah.
yeah. And also by not putting yourself as a great people because of you are selected as a Chevener, that's tend to be lowering down the tense within yourself, because when you are considered as a good people, as a great people, then the others expecting you too much, expecting you to do something about that. So that's at the same time lowering down your greedy level. In your terminology you use humble. It's also works to lower down the tenses, the tension, to lowering down the people expectation towards us. Something like that.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's what you share, like, because it's so good that we are ambitious, but that if we make it to become negative impact, like make us be impatient or kind of like arrogance or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Not good, but always ambitious is good. Like being ambitious is good if we can kind of like knowing that, we can make mistake, we can continue always better.
Yeah. All in all, we're still normal people.
Yeah,
in a normal society.
For sure, that we always get better.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Sharon. Thank you for that. So now we move a bit about we talk about the whole journey you had. Not really, but can you share your advice on interview, and then probably we gonna finish today, yeah?
Advice for the interview stage. So this is the stage where you already finish your you already passed the online selection, right? Okay. So my advice is for the interview stage is congratulations, because it's a great achievement when you achieve that kind of level, because Chevening is already consider you to become a Chevener. It's just a small step to become a Chevener, I think. So in terms of the quality of your writing, it's I think Chevening is already put in on a good mark of it. So the thing is, try to polish the way you express it verbally, because some people might have a problem to express what they thought, what they are writing about. When it comes to verbally explain about it, some people have a difficulty to do that. So maybe for my advice is try to put your writings or your essays when you're doing the online application, and try to print it and then put it just in front of you, and then ask people, your significant others, your friends, your parents, your girlfriends, or whoever who really know you, and then try to ask them to ask you about what are you writing this. So try to explain what you're writing to other person. So I think that's the way to rehearse your interview skill, because interviews the interview step of Chevening interview step will be not will be basically based on the things that you write on your essays. So that's what I mean.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing about that. So you had application, but basically they're gonna somehow go through your application, and you kind of like, instead of writing, now you're gonna speaking about it, and then getting feedback always great to
Exactly.
Important. So how did you get the people who give you feedback? Who do you suggest? Your friends, anyone else? And did you reach out to any previous scholars?
getting in touch with previous scholars is quite a challenge because becoming selected as a Cheveners, selected into the interview step is not necessarily you already put into the Chevener circle. So it's still quite hard to find a Cheveners colleagues when you when you reach that step. So what I did was just find friends who really have a same passion. Like I have friends who also the same intention for me, having the same dreams, want to apply for the Chevening, wants to study in the Europe, particularly in the UK, and then that kind of similar characteristic can put the detail of the feedback more detailed, because those kind of person knows your dreams and knows the condition of your dreams, and they can give you a more detailed question and more tricky question, because yeah, I think it's all. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So can you give like another kind of any advice for our friends after studying 1 year and prepare for the future?
Advice. What else? Again, a Chevener is a Chevener, so you're still human. You're still a normal people coming from a normal society. And you need to go back to your society. You need to go back to your country, to the place where you belong. So, and you need to make, even though it's hard to be expected as higher, because people knows that you're coming from Chevener as a Chevener, but in a way, you need to do that, because 1 year experience in the UK as a Chevener particularly is a great experience where you explore everything, and either it's academic, social, or maybe economic. You can learn from other country. You can learn from the country where you're studying which is UK, and you can also study from other cultures, from your friends. You need to apply that in your country. Seriously.
Cool.
Seriously.
Yeah, study hard and really play hard. And make a great contribution. Wow. Great. Thank you. So, thank you. We keep updated and maybe see each other in Indonesia or Vietnam. Thank you for just sharing today.
No problem, Jen.
Have a wonderful time left in the UK and in Indonesia. Yeah?
You too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
alright. See you.